Thanks for being with us here on Live Now from Fox. I'm your host, Christina Evans. As promised, we're now going to be heading down to New Orleans there in Louisiana, taking a live look there over the skyline, where we're now finding out more information after investigators have busted a jail maintenance worker who they say helped 10 inmates escape. Putting this up on your screen as well. This is from the Attorney General saying that Sterling Williams, that's that jail maintenance worker, has now had a bond set at $1.1 million, $100,000 for each charge that he is facing. She also goes on to say that if you are helping any of those escaped inmates in any way, you too will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. Of course, we know that breakout happened in Louisiana early Friday. Let's now check in with Fox's Bowen Kedrowicz. He's there in New Orleans. Bowen, what else can you tell us about this jail escape and, of course, those inmates who have been rounded out in the aftermath?
Hi, Christina. Well, according to the Louisiana Attorney General's office, they say that a jail staffer admitted to helping those 10 inmates escape jail. Now, investigators say that an inmate asked jail staffer Sterling Williams to turn off the water in a cell, and he did it instead of reporting the inmate. This is a hole the inmates climbed through behind the toilet. And officials say the inmates were able to escape behind the toilet only because the water was turned off. Investigators say the 10 inmates left through this hole and then climbed over the jail wall using blankets to get over the barbed wire. So far, law enforcement has managed to capture 4 of the 10 inmates that escaped. The latest in New Orleans East yesterday evening, and he was in the Orleans Parish Jail charged for murder. But 6 other inmates are still on the loose, one of whom is a convicted killer. One official who prosecuted some of these men say he's worried about his safety.
Personally afraid, not just for myself, but for my lawyers who tried the case against the individual twice. We were asking for a life sentence of this man, and he is now at large.
Williams says law enforcement has also moved families that feel threatened by the inmates that are on the loose as well, and those families have been moved to safe locations. Christina, I'll send it back to you.
All right, Bowen, thank you for the latest update. Before I let you go, I have to ask you, as you're there in the city of New Orleans, have you heard from any passerbyers on the street, folks still talking about those 10 inmates who have escaped? Do any of them feel like their safety is in danger now that they know that some have been charged with murder and are now out on the loose?
Yeah, it is definitely on people's minds here, and not just in New Orleans, but also neighboring cities as well. I was talking to a friend actually over in Covington, Louisiana, which is just 45-minute drive north. And they were telling me that, you know, these inmates had enough days to easily travel out of the city of New Orleans. So even outside of the city, people are being alert as well and concerned about these inmates on the loose.
All right, again, Fox's Bowen Kedrowicz there in New Orleans giving us that update. We appreciate your time.
Thank you.
All right, we did want to bring that to you here on Live Now from Fox, taking another live look there in New Orleans. Earlier today, we also did hear from the Attorney General making some of those remarks, giving an update as well. Let's listen into this here on Live Now from Fox.
Security prison, it's got to have features in it that will handle people who need higher security measures. How they were doing that inside the prison, I can't answer that yet. I did watch parts of that council hearing. I think that, you know, I'm someone who believes that fiscal transparency is a given. This is taxpayer money. It is a lot of money, and I think that, you know, we ought to be able to see exactly how that money is being spent. And I promise you that with all of the attention that is now being given to this, everyone's going to be looking at that. You know, I mean, it's not just going to be a city council sheriff discussion that happens month to month to month. I mean, everybody's looking at it, and the governor's audit team is going to have, I think, a significant thing to say about the running of the facility, the staffing of the facility, and the funding of the facility.
Attorney General.
The sheriff when it comes to this escape, and given the fact that we've had 2 New Orleans area lawmakers now calling for Sheriff Hudson's resignation, what are some of your thoughts about whether she should resign?
I I'm not going to, answer questions about that. I don't think it's appropriate for me to answer that question. I think that, I'm focused on my job right now, which is conducting an investigation inside the prison. And I will say that the sheriff has been cooperative from the beginning. I came in on Friday afternoon with my people. I have been very clear that I believe this investigation should be independent of the sheriff's department. But, there are some people there that are being very, very helpful. We need to understand what they do, why they do it, how they operate. I appreciate that cooperation, and so, I want to continue to facilitate a productive relationship with the sheriff. I know that she is addressing, the issues as best she can right now, and what that means for her in the future is not my concern right now.
That said,
Look, we're all the captain of our own ships, and I think she took responsibility at the hearing today and said, I take responsibility for what happened. That's appropriate. If it was me, I think you have to do that. You're the captain of your own ship.
Attorney General, I know that 3 of 4 of the
inmates, the victims, has your office been in contact with any of them?
The inmates who escaped?
So, no, ma'am. The victims of those inmates that are still on the run.
No, I know that the Orleans Parish Police Department and the District Attorney's Office has been engaging quite a bit with victims related to the crimes of which these people are accused. I do intend to have my office engage on that as well. I want to make sure that those families feel like they're being adequately taken care of, that there are resources that are being provided to them. I will also have some outreach to some of the public officials. I'm going to meet with District Attorney Jason Williams this afternoon after this, and we're going to have a discussion about some things that I think are within his and my control in terms of case management and things like that on some of these cases. So, I think everybody needs to we need to be making sure that everybody who feels threatened by this directly because they have some direct involvement with the escapees is that their concerns are being addressed.
And Attorney General, I know that the 4 inmates who have since been captured are in state facilities now. At least 3 of them are at Angola itself. Were you a part of that decision? And overall, do you think that that's the most secure place that they can be right now?
I do think it's the most secure place that they can be. I think it's the appropriate place for them to be. I didn't make the decision about where they would be, but I certainly had an opinion that they shouldn't be back in Orleans Parish Prison, and that given their propensity to escape, that they should be held in the most secure place possible, and that's Angola.
Thank you.
Given you talked about how witnesses are concerned, families of victims are concerned. Some families have described themselves as going into hiding. Are you fearful for your safety as a result of these people being back on the street?
I'm not fearful for my safety. I am concerned about the safety of all of these individuals who have a direct relationship with these individuals' cases. I think that is a fair concern of theirs. I think all of the ADAs and the District Attorney's Office is also, there might be court officials and judges who also are on edge. That is obviously a fair concern for them. And so, I do want to make sure that all of those people feel like they have the resources that they need and that they are protected. As long as these individuals are out, they will be pretty edgy and legitimately so. So, I'm going to do everything that I can to address those concerns. I know the governor's committed to that as well. I haven't seen anybody, quite frankly, who isn't. So, but I also am continuing to encourage all the public officials, the city council, the court system, the federal court system, the sheriff, the district attorney. We all need to be able to pull together to figure out what role we can play to address this problem and have a short-term plan, an intermediate-term plan, and a long-term plan to deal with this facility. It's not the first time that we've had issues. We all know that there are some known issues with this particular facility. So, it's got everybody's attention. We need to address the problem.
And finally, one thing, I really want to ask. The sheriff said today in the city council meeting that they're admitting that there were not proper patrols that were made that night to go and check on folks inside the prison. Given that information, other information you've been gathering in your investigation, you talked about there's a potential for more charges to be forthcoming. Can you explain, can you elaborate what other charges might come? Who else might be charged?
I can't speak to that. It's a continuing investigation. We will pursue every avenue, and we will determine whether the conduct is chargeable as a criminal charge or it's, something that falls below the level of criminal malfeasance or direct involvement with the escape. So that is part of why I will eventually issue a comprehensive report, and I will bring, everything basically that I've been able to collect and can address the problems that I've identified. If we find individuals whose conduct rises to the level of what I would consider to be chargeable malfeasance, then we will charge that.
All right, y'all. Thanks, y'all. Please don't get WIES in the background.
All right, we were just listening into the Attorney General there speaking about those escaped inmates and the continued search. But again, if you're just now joining us, the maintenance worker who they say assisted in that jail breakout has now been arrested and is now being held on a $1.1 million bond. I want to put this up on your screen as well. This is from the governor of Louisiana, Jeff Landry, speaking out as well, saying great work to the Attorney General, Liz Murrill. She says that he says that we will not rest until every escaped prisoner and anyone who aided in their escape is found and brought to justice. Wanted to give you that update here on Live Now from Fox. We're going to take this time to step away for a 2-minute break. Stay right here with us.